See, social media kind of gives you a reputation, obviously versus the people who aren't.
I'm not the only one that struggles with following up in the midst of being busy.
The way I've tried to do it is try to be a little bit different than most people.
What is good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Key Leads Media Podcast. Man, we got a very special guest here today. But before we start, just like every time, we got to shout out Content Factory Media Group for allowing us to use this space, this beautiful facility. Man, we wouldn't be able to do this. So, as always, praises to those guys. Blessings. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
And man, look, we got a special one for you guys here today. He's coming out of South Florida. He's from South Florida, right outside the Gables. He's a mortgage loan officer. And, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about what he does. But I want to say that the day I decide to dress down a little bit, this guy comes in here suited and booted, man, and he looks amazing. So, look, I'm getting that suit, by the way. Like, I have to have that color. I've been thinking about that color for like 2-3 years. Ever since I transitioned from healthcare to real estate, I've been thinking about getting that suit for sure. But today we got Matt Barkett. And, man, Matt, I appreciate you coming, man. Just, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do so that the people can just, know how amazing you are.
Of course, I appreciate you for having me on. Matt Barkett, born and raised in Miami, Florida. And I've been a mortgage broker, based out of South Florida for the past 9 years. Did a few things before that, bartended and I did a little bit in the healthcare industry as well, but found myself in the real estate market and, kind of been stuck there.
For sure, man. And, that just goes to show you that you don't have to, finish where you start. Like you said, bartending, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
right? But I think that's great transferable skills for everything that you're doing now, talking to people, getting out and meeting people. The theme of this episode is following up, right?
Yeah.
You reached out to my principal broker at the brokerage that my license is with, and then she reached out to us as her agents, and then I reached out to you, and then I was like, well, we're going to do this, and then we followed up about doing this, and now we're here. So just following up, I think is a great transferable skill, and you meet so many people bartending in healthcare as a loan officer. So talk a little bit about just the importance of, following up.
Well, I mean, to us, for in regards to referral-based business, it's the most important thing. Whether it's a client, or if it's a referral partner, or just pretty much doing a transaction, you gotta always be in contact and know what's going on. I wouldn't say I'm the most organized person in the world, but that's the one thing that I try to focus on the most, is with my follow-up and my leads. I use a CRM system, and then I actually have like a Excel spreadsheet system that kind of keeps me, in the daily, that I can always write stuff down on at the time being, and then I transfer everything over into my CRM.
Got you, for sure. And just, although follow-up is what we have to do, it's not always easy. Like, do you have any, challenges when following up?
Just sometimes, I wouldn't say challenges because, I usually have my CRM open up, on my laptop, at least one of my screens. Maybe doing it on a as consistently as I probably should. But I would definitely say I try to keep up with it as much as I can.
Yeah, for sure, man. So that's just huge for me, just understanding, that I'm not the only one that struggles with following up in the midst of being busy. It's a tough industry. Interest rates are what they are. That's driven a lot of activity, in other places, whether it's, people not buying, people holding on longer. Like, any activity or action is a part of the whole thing that we're dealing with here when it comes to people buying or not buying houses or doing deals, right? How has just that environment made you have to kind of adapt, how you've done business over the last 3 years, especially, with COVID. Like, COVID was tough on everybody. It was great for the housing market if you were lending back then, which you were.
Yeah.
But I got in right after it ended. So it sucked for me. It was like, they're done.
Yeah. No, it definitely has changed. The way I've tried to do it is try to be a little bit different than most people. A lot of people, when they call to follow up, it's, hey, this is Matt. I'm just, following up with you, just touching base. But I try to steer away from that, to be honest with you. I will send that text every once in a while, but a lot of the stuff I do now is through video. So instead of, just, I mean, I will call, I will send a text message, but, sometimes I'll send like a video message, or I'll send a video email
Mm-hmm.
just to, try to touch base, put my face to my voice and to my name. And I think it kind of differentiates me from a lot of people that are, maybe going after the same client or going after the same realtor, or trying to get business with somebody else. That, 9 out of 10 people are doing this exact same thing. But, I feel that video is the, one of the best ways to market yourself, and now honestly just to follow up. And, with you following up, you can give a little message of, not just, hey, I'm here, I want your business. It's, hey, by the way, this is what's going on in the market, or hey, this is what just happened this last week. And, and you obviously, you don't even have to tell them, give me a call or whatever. That's, you're kind of put in mind, and then, hopefully that transitions into a phone call or a text message back.
For sure. And, I always say, and I keep mentioning this to everybody, the quality of your content today is going to determine the quality of your business tomorrow. So if you don't put in time and invest time, money, effort into trying to create really, really good content surrounding your business, especially in this space where we, help a lot of realtors, MLOs, investors, developers. If you're not putting that money and that time and effort into building your brand, where your face is your business card, then your quality is going to go down later and down the road, because so many other people are doing it, right? And I think real estate's a really old industry, and it's really tough for some people to get behind it, because the ROI on it isn't seen immediately. But when you do start getting calls like, hey, Matt, I saw you doing this, or I saw you doing that, that's the difference. Because if they keep seeing you, when it pops in their head to refer you to somebody, or when they need you, then it becomes a thing where it's like you're the first one that they think about.
Yeah. And I mean, I think honestly, social media kind of gives you a reputation, obviously versus the people who aren't consistently on there. And I mean, it just, you kind of get a, I don't know if I would say like a reputation, but you get, you're seen in a spotlight, more than most. And, I guess it gives you more of like a validation for, especially now for the younger generation, especially all the, the TikTokers and Instagram. A lot of people get all their, information not from Google now, but from YouTube, and social media. So, social media, everybody's on their phone, and, you pop up, they see you 3-4 times a week. I mean, you're going to get some sort of little more of a validation than, the person that they've never seen before, have never spoken to before as well.
For sure. And like, what's your favorite platform? I guess I would ask next. Like, is it YouTube, Instagram? Like,
I guess Instagram's kind of, the one I kind of go to the most. But I mean, I'm trying to go on to, just for my businesses, I'm trying to go into all, do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because the way I see it is each one kind of has their own demographic. So, I mean, Facebook, you have a lot of the, people maybe in their 40s, 50s, 60s on Facebook, but, people in their early 20s are going to be a little bit more on TikTok. So it's trying to, just trying to diversify yourself into each social media platform.
For sure. So that causes me to kind of pivot the conversation a little bit, because like you said most of the younger generations on TikTok, and then you have older people on Facebook. You have people searching for certain answers on YouTube. When you talk about creating content and your value proposition, let's say you didn't create content, or let's say you just decided not to be a mortgage broker anymore, right? What would people miss out on if you didn't do what you do?
I mean, I would say, to be honest with you, I try to be as honest and upfront with people as possible when in my business. So, I mean, I've had a lot of people, I've changed people's minds into, maybe refinancing now is, kind of a refinance. There is a refinance market out there, as probably a lot of people don't think there is. Specifically trying to pay off debt or things like that. Just for instance, I had one person that I told her to wait, where she had a loan officer that she was working with, tell her that she should refinance to pay off, she did one of those FHA 3.5%, assistance programs, just to pay that off, to get rid of a, $150 payment, to maybe make her mortgage payment like $100 less, but she was gonna have to bring in about $15,000 to close. So, I kind of was like, let's look at the longevity of this, and you know, that if she were to move forward with that, it would have taken, I think it was like close to 9 to 10 years for that to pay itself off. So, I mean, that's the one thing I pride about myself in my business is, when I give you an estimate, or I give you, you ask me for my opinion. I'm not going to BS you as to, numbers. I'm not going to BS you as to what I see. Unfortunately, South Florida, there's a lot of people that'll do it for the quick buck. But I mean, I try to, I obviously try to not just do it for the current transaction, but for the next 3 or 4, and then for, their family members as well, to be there as a referral. So, in regards to if I were to stop, I mean, I guess I would say just, I guess my honesty and just my, making sure that they make the right decision rather than just doing something because they were told to do it.
Yeah, for sure, man. A lot of honesty and integrity is lacking out here in the space, for sure. I think that's a great quality to have. I don't know if that comes from, bartending or any other jobs that you've done. Like, I mean, for me, the same thing. It comes from sports for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I played baseball, so.
Exactly. So playing baseball, and we know how mental that is, right? I played baseball as well.
Now golf too, so we're talking about mental.
Yeah, no, I'm dressed for it and I suck at it. Oh my God. But no, it's mental. So you've played a lot of games and things that are where integrity is valued, right? We always talk about the baseball guys in baseball, and if you don't play the game right, they don't treat you right? Yeah. When you need the out or you need the error not to happen, it happens because you haven't been playing the game correctly. So that honesty and that integrity is definitely lacking. And if you didn't do what you do, a lot of people be missing out on that, and a lot of people probably wouldn't have had as good of situations, you know. So
no, I mean, karma's a what. So I mean, if I could, as long as I could, I'd like to be able to sleep at night. I don't like to second guess myself. So, I don't like to put people in any sort of rough situation or a situation I wouldn't want to put like my own mother or my own father in. So.
For sure. So let's talk about, expressing that on camera, because I seen you post a couple different things when I looked at your socials, and I like the walking reels where you're talking about, hey, here's a trick or a tip to know. But what's your thought on sharing more about, those wins and stuff like that on your socials?
So I actually have a lot of those videos made. They will be coming up. Just in regards to mortgage stories, success stories. I actually even have some horror stories on there too. So
yeah. We gotta hear a horror story. At least one today.
Okay, give me a little bit. I'll think of I got one for you, but yeah, whenever you're ready for it.
Yeah, no, you can go ahead. I want to hear that now.
Well, no, this is one. It wasn't my personal loan. It was a loan that I was an assistant on. Essentially, I believe it was 2 or 3 days before closing. The mortgage bank. We do a credit refresh. So what that is basically, it's not a pull of credit, but we just take a look to see if your credit was pulled, by any other financial bureau or any bank or anything like that. And this client had a credit pull from K Jewelers. So the loan officer calls him and was like, hey, what is this? And the client was actually planning on proposing to his girlfriend, when they got to the house. With that being said, it was about a $500 or $600 payment, I think, or something like that. So if in regards to us, our main focus is our ratios, or making sure we're within guidelines, and through his ratios out of qualifying. So he at the moment didn't qualify for that house 3 days before closing because he went and purchased a ring. So we actually ended up having to pay down some debt, and then he actually had to buy the interest rate down quite a bit. It cost him, if I remember, like an additional $6,000 or $7,000. He was able to close, but there's just a lot of things. I mean, I've had the similar situations with people co-signing on cars for their parents. But yeah, that was probably when I first started. That was probably like the first "what are you doing" moment that in my mortgage industry. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't imagine that. I recently got engaged, so I can't imagine if like that was my plan. That wasn't my plan. Was not.
No.
But just to not be able to get the crib or to come out an extra $6,000 or $7,000 because I decided to buy the ring too early. But that's why we need you,
Yeah.
right? We need individuals like yourself to get out here and let us know exactly the steps and the order to do things. Because I think a lot of people think that, I want to buy this house. I've saved up the money. I have a decent job. That means you're going to qualify right away, and that's not the case. It's
Yeah.
about your whole credit profile, your loans, et cetera, debt to income ratio, so many different things that maybe they don't have knowledge of, and then it's a sequence of doing certain things to be able to qualify. And that's not just homes. I mean, there's other things as well, right? It's any type of loan a lot of times, and not having someone in your corner that's, again, going to have integrity, going to be honest, really wants you to get what you say you want, but also is going to hold you accountable to saying, hey, this is what we got to do, let's do it. I think all of that matters. I think all of that, takes a big, worry out of the head of a lot of people,
Yeah, I think just making the content, because I've seen a lot of people, that'll make content that about a bank statement program or a DSCR program, and they'll just kind of explain it. To me, I'll understand it. To you, you'll probably understand it as a realtor, but to the layperson, they're like, "What did I even just watch?" So, I think the main focus too, when you're making content, is at least trying to make it to be understood by your audience. I mean, it's also true, good to make it fun, but educational as well.
No, for sure. And last thing I really want to touch on is just staying relevant with that content, because you touched on it. Like, you have to make it engaging. It has to be conversational. It has to, provoke someone to reach out to you, or you at least to be able to say, oh, these people liked it, I can reach out to them, type of deal. Like, how do you try to keep yourself fresh when it comes to that type of content? Are you saying, do you have certain call to actions? Do you, sit back and say, all right, cool, I'm going to craft all of these different videos and I'm going to run them by somebody, and we're only going to make the ones that everybody likes? Like, what's your creative process when it comes to it? Is it just throwing stuff at the wall and saying, all right, cool, I like all of these ideas? Or is it a process?
Yeah, so honestly, it's a combination of things. One, I have a couple of friends that are buying houses at the moment. I'll call them and ask them, hey, what's 5 questions that you had before you got pre-qualified? What's 5 questions you had now that you're under contract? And, is there anything else that you're unsure of? Is, kind of one of the ways I try to do it. I've bought a couple houses, so obviously my questions might be a little bit different. But just trying to go through the steps of the mortgage process to try to explain it, just to make it as simple and as understood as possible. And then another thing too is man, I go on social media and I'll go on YouTube or I'll type in Google, what's the top 10 mortgage questions, or what's the top 10 real estate questions buyers have or sellers have, or whatever the case may be. And then, honestly now too is now that I am a homeowner, I'm also, participating in a little bit of, life after buying a home. So just kind of a little bit of information for people to have, after they buy their house, just, little fun things, and just to, kind of keep in mind after you purchase. Now, what else should I know?
For sure. Well, I think that, I want to wrap this up with letting them know where they can find you. And if you have anything going on that maybe they can come to. I don't know if you got workshops, speaking engagements, but, just where they can find you on socials, where they can find your website, your company's website, all of those different things. Just share that with the people and let them know.
Yeah, no. So, my office is down in Kendall, in South Florida, in Miami. We're off of 128th and 133rd. My social media on Instagram is just pretty much my name, Matt Barkett. You should be able to find me on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok as well. Speaking events, I don't really have any off the top of my head, going on right now, but, I'm always available for a conversation, whether it's a DM through social media or a text message or a phone call, email. And then our website is reel, as in like a fishing reel, so REELMS.com. And you could do an application if you're interested in there as well.
For sure, man. Well, hey, look, we appreciate you coming on the show. A lot of great tips. The horror story was amazing. I think that that's going to be a great clip for social media, right? Like,
Yeah.
just I think people are interested
No,
in
man.
that.
I
For
have
sure.
like a do's and don'ts on my emails after people get qualified and under contract. So I try to prevent that from happening. So, but
Yeah,
you
do
can't
that.
stop people from, a lot of times, but you can try to keep them knowledgeable.
Yeah, you got to get them to read it. Actually,
Yeah,
they'll get
that's.
it and read a little bit
I've
of it
actually
and
heard
won't
of a
read
loan
it.
officer that makes them sign, that sends it to him and makes them sign it.
Oh wow. Well, hey, that's a hell of a funnel,
Yeah.
right? To get them to finish it. But no, man, appreciate you for sure for the drive up, man. I know the traffic was hellacious probably, and we couldn't have asked for someone better than you to come in here with integrity and tell everyone about what it is they do, and show them that, hey, man, this is a real person that does a real thing to really help people change their lives. So we appreciate that. We look forward to more content from you.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to repeat and come back on, we can do that as well. Like,
Yeah,
we're
I'm up
open
for
to
it.
that for anybody that comes on the podcast. If you want to be a repeat guest and you got more to tell or more to share, we can do that. And then potentially working together in the future, man, and doing more content and collaborations, whether it's on the production side or on the real estate side for me and you, because obviously we can get deals done. So
Yep, definitely.
really appreciate it, man. It was great to finally make the connection. The follow up is key. Remember, if you're not following up, then the opportunities are definitely going to be lost. You're leaving money on the table. You're leaving relationships on the table. You're leaving friendships on the table. So definitely follow up with people. Be a person of your word like Matt is here. And, man, look, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Shout out to Content Factory Media Group. Like I said before, I definitely want to shout y'all out twice, because at the beginning, ain't enough for me based on all the love and the gratitude that I got for you guys. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate Matt.
Thank you.
And we are